Yo, what's good, everybody? What the heck happened? Hold on, y'all. We gon' Oh, there we go. Like, what is going on? All right. So, as y'all know, the market was up today. Welcome, y'all. I know it's been a while. Let me not try to so my voice don't echo. But what's going on, y'all? It's been a while. It's your boy D Fat Stacks for another financial corner. I did not do a financial corner last week. I've been busy, but I am glad I didn't because we got a lot of information to kind of go through today. So I'm starting early so we can get it done. You know, for those who want to watch the VOD, you're more than welcome to watch the VOD. But when it comes to the financial corner, I try to, put the information out there, and whenever y'all want to watch it, y'all can have at it. Now, first thing we're going to look at today is, of course, the markets were up today. Of course, the elephant in the room right now is the interest rate hikes. So it will start next month. So S&P was up 0.69%, the Dow was up 0.78, NASDAQ 0.75, and the Russell was up 1.1. And of course, on the right side, we're going to look at some of the stocks that were down today. Coca-Cola was down by a little bit. IBM is up. 3M is up. Of course, SPY is up. Verizon was down a little bit. Vanguard was up today. Apple was down. Apple was down like 160 something last couple days ago, I believe. Or last week. Facebook Meta's been hit hard. Western Alliance was up a little bit today. Okay. Now, I own some of those stocks, by the way, so I like to just check them on the side. And of course, I want to let you guys know about, for those who have AT&T, y'all already know AT&T is going to spin off their communications with their media. And of course, their dividend is going to go from, I believe, 52 cents is going to get cut in half. That's what they say, but we don't know exactly what's going to happen after they split and they cut the dividend in half. That's what they say. It's going to be cut in half, but we'll see. Now, like I said before, the elephant in the room right now in the stock market is inflation. So obviously the Feds are going to try to combat inflation. Inflation hit record highs, 7 point. We're going to look at that later. Actually have it tabbed. We're going to be looking at what the inflation looks like. Some of y'all already know it's 7.5, the highest that it's been in like 40 years, I think. But we're going to get to it once we get to the tab. As well as, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but there's certain rent has gone up, cars have gone up, obviously food has gone up, a lot of things have gone up. They also say that once the supply issue lines out, that some of the inflation is going to come down. I believe that is true to a point. Now, the mortgage might come down, or I should say housing prices might come down a little bit once interest rates go up. But I said this last time, and I said it the time before that, what ain't coming down is that rent. So if you rent, you're really not you're at the mercy of everybody else, because there is no way you're gonna find rent cheaper one area over the next. Now one state over the next is a different story. But I'm gonna tell you, rent is not going down. Once rent is set at a certain price, that's pretty much it. So for those who renting, I suggest y'all prepare. You know what I'm saying? I don't think rent is gonna get any higher than it has. with the inflation it is right now. So I mean, there's places that's gone up what between $100 to $200 in rent. So we're also gonna look at some of the rent numbers as well. So, but yeah, we're gonna roll through some stuff today. We're gonna kind of look at some stuff. What's going on, Headhunter? Welcome, brother. Hopefully you've had a good weekend. How you doing today? I'm just trying to go through the tabs as we go. Of course, there's been a lot of there's a lot of buying going on here the last week or so. Intel is looking to purchase Tower Semiconductor. So we all know Intel was at one point, you know, one of the giants in the semiconductor space, but due to mismanagement and all that, you know, now they're trying to crawl out of that hole. They've changed their CEO. You know, they've done a lot of things different. They're building new plants. Like I keep telling earlier, I think Intel is one of the you know, turnaround stories for cheap in the semiconductor space, in my opinion. So, and yes, I do own them. And I always got to say that every time, because some people think I talk about certain stocks and I don't own them. No, I own Intel. Watch the game. Okay, that's what's up. Yeah, I heard the game was pretty good. Y'all give me 1 second real quick. All right. Sorry about that. But yeah, I do own Intel, and I'm kind of watching it closely because for the price that Intel is right now, I think it's definitely worth the buy. Now, let's look at some of the highlights. What they're talking about. The acquisition accelerates Intel's path to becoming a major provider of foundry services and capacity global, now offering one of the industry's broadest portfolios of differentiated technology. Let's see. Transaction is expected to be immediate, accretive to Intel's non-GAAP EPS. Intel and Towers Semiconductor Management will host a conference. So for those who are looking for that information, and usually I kind of read on my phone what's going on. Okay, let's see what Tower has to offer. Why did Intel buy Tower? Tower's expertise in specialty technologies such as radio frequency, power, silicon, germanium, and industry sensors, extensive IP. Tower serves as a high growth market such as mobile, automotive, and power. Okay. Intel is the only leading edge player with both research and development and manufacturing in the US, including recently announced capacity expansions in Arizona and New Mexico. Now, this is important, and I keep saying it. Intel is going to bring jobs to Arizona and New Mexico with these new plants that they're building out there in the desert. Good solar energy too, so. But let's see. As well as plans to build a new mega site in Ohio. So Tower's technology and manufacturing footprint is highly complementary to Intel's IFS capabilities and leading edge processes, allowing the combined company to provide broader offerings to customers at scale. With the addition of Tower, Intel is strongly positioned to bring more value to customers, nearly $100 billion addressable foundry market. Now, me personally, I've seen some acquisitions been going on. We all know about Microsoft getting Activision, and come to find out, Berkshire Hathaway, or Warren Buffett, he purchased a nice little stake in Activision. This was in last October though, before this acquisition happened. So, I mean, you know, who knows? We all know that once you got the inside deal, you know what I'm saying, it is what it is, because once you start getting up there hobnobbing with, you know, millionaires, most of the information they already know before us common folk know. That's just my opinion. But I think Intel is on a nice little, like I said, a nice little turnaround instead of being a laughing stock of the semiconductor space. But the fact that they're building 3 separate manufacturing areas, you know, in Arizona, New Mexico, and Ohio, speaks to what they're trying to bring to the table when it comes to bringing the manufacturing of semiconductors back into the US. I mean, they already produce, they're the largest producers anyway of semiconductors in the US. So this is just gonna make them a little bit more strengthen, I should say, strengthen their position. So, but it also brings a lot of jobs too. So we'll see how that turns out, because in my opinion, like if you look at the chip shortage and the way it is now, if Intel is able to you know, produce a lot of chips in the US, I don't think you're gonna have a situation like this ever again, in my opinion, because now you have a company that is stabilizing the chip market in the US, even though a lot of chips come from overseas. You see what I mean? So we'll see how that turns out. Now, like I said before, we all know Microsoft bought Activision, and then Sony turned around and bought Bungie. Now, let me tell y'all a little something about, in my opinion, how the Microsoft Activision play is somewhat significant. And, you know, Microsoft can actually take a loss on its gaming side. Y'all heard what I said. Microsoft can take a loss on its gaming side because Microsoft has a lot when it comes to service-wise and, of course, operating system, cloud services. Microsoft is a giant, so they can take a loss in certain areas. So let's look at it this way, right? You have $60 games coming out on Xbox Game Pass. They can afford a loss when it comes to that section because they're making so much money in other areas, which means there's a possibility that they could be squeezing Sony to make a move, which why Sony went after Bungie. Nintendo hasn't made any moves because we all know Nintendo has their, you know, strong foundation of games. Nintendo ain't got to worry about nothing. Nintendo is Nintendo. Nintendo ain't going nowhere. Regardless of what Microsoft and Sony does, Nintendo ain't out here, you know, trying to acquire, you know, like what Microsoft and Sony's doing. They don't even have to do that. Nintendo is so grounded in their company that, you know, I don't see them gathering nobody. So that's just me. Well, if they do, it's no time soon. But I think it's just interesting how Microsoft is trying to play the field when it comes to the gaming segment, because of the fact that, you know, like I said, they can take a loss on the gaming area. You know what I mean? They make so much money as is anyway. So, I mean, I think this just puts Microsoft in the driver's seat to, I won't say strong arm, but definitely raise an eyebrow. That's for sure. But that's just my opinion on that. Now, when it comes to stock wise, Microsoft is a good company to own. You know, Activision definitely got a bailout from Microsoft with all the BS going on in Activision. So, but it is what it is. All right, so AMD closes a record chip industry deal with Xilinx, $50 billion purchase. And I believe they started this a few years ago. So this is nothing new. This is something that has been in the process, and they finally closed the deal. Semiconductor designer AMD said on Monday it finalized the purchase of Xilinx in a record chip industry deal valued at $50 billion, giving it an extra edge in the key data center market. So now you have Intel, you know, making a purchase or going after a purchase. AMD went after finally finalizing their purchase. Like I said, I remember they announced this a while back, and AMD stocks are doing well. So, like I said, to me, I choose Intel because they give dividends. AMD does not give dividends. Like I tell y'all all the time, I'm a stock guy that's looking to solidify his dividend portfolio first. I want my foundation to be solid when it comes to um having that reoccurring every quarter, that little change that comes through. You know what I'm saying? So, but here we go. AMD finally finalized the deal with Xilinx. So the deal closes. The closing of the deal comes on the heels of Nvidia decision to abandon its plans to buy SoftBank's owned ARM. Yes, and that we're about to look at here in the next story, citing regulatory hurdles. Now, Microsoft is going to face the same kind of scrutiny of Activision. Will the regulators let that pass? So nothing is final yet with Activision and Microsoft until the regulatory FTC goes through all their hoops and hurdles and yada 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 before it's approved. So, you know what I mean? All right, let's see. What about AMD? Okay, AMD's CEO Lisa Su, which I did hear her talk on Yahoo's finance deal this morning or yesterday, between AMD's processing technology and Xilinx system on chips and field programmable chips. The two businesses are complementary. That was a focus in talking to the regulatory authorities across the world. Su said she added the ARM, an important partner for AMD, but declined to say any more about ARM's possible next steps. See, and that's another thing too, that the regulatory issues going on when Nvidia wanted to buy ARM, because ARM also distributes to a lot of other companies, aka Microsoft, AMD. So there was a lot of how should I say, issues going on, that a lot of these other companies didn't want Nvidia to gather ARM, because ARM was supplying other companies, other major companies as well. So if Nvidia did get ARM, then Nvidia can stronghold the rest of their competitors when it came to chips. So, you know, it could be a reason why that, and other things why that didn't fall through. So, but yeah, Intel went ahead. I mean, AMD went ahead and they finalized Xilinx. So, AMD shares soared more than 4% on Monday. What else? Let's see. With the Xilinx acquisition, Su said AMD will be able to increase its breadth in key markets like data centers, where Xilinx has a strong network and AI presence, as well as in 5G communications, automobile, industrial, aerospace, and defense markets. We all know the cars. You know what I mean? Like your Teslas, your self-driving cars, your AI is being powered. So a lot of this technology, 5G. You know what I mean? You see a lot of these companies being acquired or bought out by these other big companies, you know what I mean, that have similar goals or wanting to boost their technology. So, you know, it's interesting though. Like the last 2 or 3 months, there's been some pretty huge purchases. So it just kind of goes to show you is the big fish starting to swallow up the little fish when it comes to in certain sectors. To, I guess for a better word, you know, either 2v1, you know what I mean? So, you know, but the buyout at 50 billion, it's pretty hefty. It's nothing to sneeze at. But with everything technology focused, with, like I said, self-driving cars and the AI is being powered, and of course technologies keep moving forward 5G. I mean, these companies don't want to get left in the dust. So, but the only thing I care about is when I look at the stock price. How does this work for the stock? You know, is it a good purchase for the stock? Where's the stock gonna go from here with this purchase? So that's Nvidia's stock price rose, later sent the transactions value much higher, settling at about 60 billion on Monday. So this is where it gets funny. But a blockbuster deal encountered setbacks that included a FTC lawsuit in December to block the acquisition as well opposition from regulators in Britain. Why? More than likely because, here it is. I'm about to show y'all. Mr. Hung argued that ARM, whose microprocessor technology is contained in more than 25 billion chips sold each year, which could help Nvidia a broader position in data centers, akin to rival like Intel. There's one. Qualcomm, Microsoft, and others that license ARM technology argued the deal could harm their businesses. That resonated with some regulators. Here we go. Right there is the reason why they didn't let Nvidia buy ARM. Right freaking there. So, with that being said, because it had some major competitors, you see what I'm saying, that ARM was licensing out its technology. So if Nvidia would have gotten it, oh yeah, it would have been a little scrappy. It would have been some problems, been some real serious problems. So, but still, I mean, it's kind of interesting to me. So, but yeah, there goes the big reason why right there. Because ARM had its hands in dealings with quite a few big companies. Nvidia and ARM rejected those arguments. Of course they would. Mr. Hung has repeatedly insisted that Nvidia would keep ARM's business model. He also said the deal would bolster innovation, as Nvidia's financial resources would allow ARM to develop more technology more quickly. Nvidia also proposed remedies to ally regulators' concerns, but see, you had these companies. Yeah, I don't think when they announced it, I think like eyes got big, real big in the space, because of that means if a company is able to strong arm one end or the next, then whoever the business partners are, then and it was going to be a problem because they did supply their licensing to some big names right there. So, did they have something to gripe about? More than likely, because everybody doesn't want to be monopolized in one way or the next. Hence, you have the lawsuit with, what is it, Epic and Apple right now? Because of how Apple has a strong arm in their app services and everything else that's going on. So, but for all those who are wondering why Nvidia didn't buy ARM, there you go. Now, this is the main deal. We're coming into the main deal and what I wanted to talk about. Inflation. So, let's get these ads off. Goodbye. Inflation hits highest level in 40 years in January. Prices rise 7.5% from 2021. So, why is this important? It is very important so you don't knee-jerk yourself when it comes to making any type of moves in the stock market. Now, obviously, if you are just doing the whole set it and forget it, like I always say, you ain't got nothing to worry about. You just keep putting your money in there, keep, dollar cost average, you'll just be fine. Inflation does not matter to you whatsoever. If you are in an ETF, once again, VTI, VOO, SPY, an ETF that covers the whole S&P 500, this information is not going to matter. Inflation does not matter to you. It really does not. What it matters is when you go to that grocery store and what you used to pay for $150 worth of groceries, it's $250 or even $300, depending on what you're buying. So that's where it kind of matters, where it hits your pocket. Same thing, like I said, we'll talk about mortgage and other stuff as well. But yes, I would like to read this because this is very important that we all understand inflation and what's going on and how does it affect your finances as well as your investments. Now, inflation in U.S. climbed to its highest level in 40 years in January with prices 7.5. Okay. The rise in the consumer price index, CPI, which means the cost of a wide variety of goods, was the largest since February 1982. CPI rose zero point 0.6 from December, higher than expected, but still down significantly from last October when it rose 0.9. So here we go. Price price rises for food, electricity, and shelter were the largest contributors to the increase. There it is. Food, electricity, and shelter, meaning energy. Oil, natural gas. You know what I mean? So, but I guess that all depends on your grid and how you get your energy. I know certain places have nuclear. I don't think anywhere in the United States has nuclear energy. I don't believe. So I know there's been petitions for that to get nuclear energy on the grid because it is safe, it is cheaper. Y'all hold on meanwhile I check what's going on. But yes, people are trying to say to get nuclear energy because it's safer and it can power a whole lot more. So, but here we go. Like I said before, food, electricity, and shelter are the large contributors of the increase. Now that is very important. Now, when the supply issue eases up, yes, you're gonna have food prices come down some, and also housing prices might come down some. But that's just if you are looking to own a home. What's not gonna come down, I said this before, is rent. Electric it fluctuates depending on energy prices, but just like gas, you know, when gas went from, you know, I remember paying 99 cents in the winter for gas. All of a sudden it became $1.50, and then it became like $2. So I've said this and I'll say it again, don't be surprised if the national average across the board from here on out is $3 a gallon. I mean, it was like that like last year. And of course, nobody went anywhere in 2020. We all know why. It's still happening now. But the fact of the matter is, $3 normal for gas for certain people in certain states. It might be $4 or $5 for certain people in other states like California, New York, Florida, places like that. So don't be surprised when these gas prices are high. Your rent is high. You know, those who have a mortgage have a little reprieve per se, because your mortgage is already set. And if you were able to buy a home with the interest rate before it rises, then, you know, you're one of the lucky ones. But once these interest rates go up, and they're talking about multiple hikes, I keep hearing minimum 4 or something like that. If the interest rates go, I mean, I definitely 3 to 4. When it comes to the interest rates, I see that going up at least minimum. So, but after stripping food and fuel, whose prices are volatile, and I didn't even read that yet, inflation still climbed to 6% on an annual basis. A nationwide shortage of used cars also continued to drive the rise. Used car prices were 40.5% higher in January compared to a year ago. Housing costs rose more than 4.4% from a year ago. So basically, if you're looking to buy a car, any type of car, I wouldn't do it for the next 2 to 3 years, period. So if you got a car, you better hope you got a good mechanic and fix that mug. Because if you go out there now and try to buy a used car, you might be buying a used car with new car prices on it. Because that is insane. I mean, like, that is truly insane. So for those, if you're looking to get a house now, and with all the housing prices and how there is, for those who are house hunting out there, man, good luck to you. You know, for those who are looking for a car and all that, same thing, man, good luck to you, because man, that it's hustle and flow out there. You know what I mean? Y'all know the phrase. So, you know, it's definitely getting extremely expensive. Things are not cheap. So all I gotta say is make sure you got your finances in check, because this is gonna be like Bubba Sparks out there. It's gonna be ugly. Like I said, I see inflation probably coming down after they raise interest rates, but by how much, who knows? But all I know is what I see right now. Car prices are out of there. Housing prices are out of there. Like you said, you just read it. Food, electricity, out of there. You know, and even though it's interesting because you have these companies paying more or looking to pay employers more, right? I mean, employers are looking to pay employees more with, you know, rising of wages and stuff like that. But what people don't understand is it's a direct offset right there. As you see it, bright as you read it, food, electricity, and housing is going up. So how much are you really getting a pay raise to cover all these expenses? Now, mind you, once you get that pay raise, it's not like they're going to take it away from you. No, but there's no guarantee that inflation is going to come down low enough where you're actually going to be making headway with your raise. Meaning that inflation only in certain areas might come down just a bit, but even with your raise, everything is still going to be more expensive. You know what I mean? Like if you're living in like Florida somewhere, you know what I mean, and all of a sudden now you have to put an extra $200 on your rent because inflation went up and your landlord is charging you an extra $200. Ain't nothing you can do about it unless you move out of that place. And unfortunately, I'm gonna tell you something, right? Every place rent wise is increased. Every landlord to a point. So depending on where you are, all the landlords might raise everything all the same. So no matter where you go, you might pay maybe $20 less. I mean, if you get to a place where you're paying $100 less is one thing, but maybe you might be only paying $20 less depending on the area you're in. But the matter of the fact is, rent's going up. Certain food, you might get a reprieve on the food, but the gas is going up. I mean, $3 a gallon in the winter is never used to be a thing. It used to be cheaper when it's colder. Of course, your heating bill and all that is something totally different. You know what I mean? So, but it's just a matter of, and this correlates to the stocks that you're in. Like, even though things are expensive, as I see it, my stocks are going up. This is why I say it is important for you to invest one way or the next, even if it's just in an ETF, because as prices go up, your stocks are going to go up. The companies that do well, aka we all know Walmart ain't going nowhere. We all know McDonald's ain't going nowhere. Home Depot, Lowe's. These companies pass on the inflation prices or costs to the consumer. There's just certain things that you are not going to be without, point blank. And you're going to have to go to some of these places to shop. So why not own the stock? Or like I said, or ETF, just own the whole market, the S&P. You see what I mean? So depending on what you decide to do, like I said, I'm just giving my own personal opinion, but you see it here. You see what I mean? So, all right, the next thing we're going to talk about is, I know I've said this before, but the Google split, the 21 stock split, I believe it's going to be in January. So if you're looking to get into Google stock, the Google stock was like $2,000 and something dollars, over 2,000. So if you're looking to get into a growth stock, I don't believe Google pays a dividend, but we can look that up real quick. If I'm not mistaken, they do not pay a dividend. They're just, so we'll look up Google. Nope, they do not pay a dividend. So But if you guys let's look at Google's chart, right? 5-year chart. It's insane. From 2017, well, actually, let's go max. The last time you were able to get shares of Google that low was 2005. Because once it's split, it's gonna be around 150 somewhere there. So the last time they had Google stock that low was at $150 something a share. Like, and from 2005 to now, 2022. So 17 years, the stock rose that high. So if you're able to get the stock split, and pretty much it's I won't say call it a reset, but for those who are looking to get into Google and you see this chart, there is a possibility in the next decade for it to run up this high again. It's a possibility. Now everybody has Google search engine or uses Google search engine. So it's just one of those things if you wanted to be in the stock or not. Now, me personally, I will take a dab. I will try to get in, I might get my little 10 shares, something like that in there, get my feet wet, possibly. But, like I said before, I am more focused on building my dividend folder right now, getting up my shares in the stocks that I already have. And maybe trying to get mine in on the dips, little here, little there, because Google to me is just pretty much a growth stock. The only time I'm gonna make money off of it is if I sell it. You see what I mean? Like, I will always say this: when I look at making money and long term when it comes to the stock market, I want to make sure whatever I invest in, that I am not just getting the value of the stock, but also I'm getting paid. You know what I mean? I'm getting my little residuals off of that, because the little residuals can go a long way. You know what I mean? So, but as you see it there, it took Google quite a while. The last time it was at 150. Let's look. Last time it was anywhere near 150 was in 2005, August 2005, around there. June, like. So when they do that 20-to-1 stock split, this is what's going to drop at, somewhere in there. So now my opinion, is Google a good buy? Yeah. It is. You just take little by little, but just know that you're not going to be getting paid a dividend. It's just one of those growth stocks, as they call it. Me personally, like I said, I am focused on getting my little residuals, my little nickels. As I always say, man, I'm always trying to rub them nickels together. You feel me? So let's look at the national rent price average. Oh, hold on. Before we do that, let me just go back to that inflation deal. Let's scroll down some more. All right. But with gas prices, food, and housing still rising, just 37% of Americans approve of how. Okay, this is getting into politics, but where is it? So the Fed is going to try to tame the inflation by, of course, raising interest rates. So I was looking to get some more data for y'all. But we all know that the Fed was trying to prop up the market by printing money out of thin air. So, of course, you had people wanting the Feds to stop printing money early. And the Fed's like, no, we're going to let it run hot a little longer. So this is the result. But the other thing people that understand that makes this a little different is that there is such a short supply of homes that the housing prices are until people start building more, depending on where you at, these prices aren't going to come down either. And obviously there isn't going to be a lot of borrowing if the interest rates are up. So we'll see how quickly this cools down. You know what I mean? To what extent, who knows, but it's more like a wait and see. But I will say this though, if you are in the market, and like I said before, you are just doing your basic, your ETF, you putting in your every month, you ain't got nothing to worry about. I always suggest long-term investment, no day trading, none of that short-term stuff. We are looking 10 to 15 years ahead. This is what this whole channel is about. We are looking for long-term investing, so that you have a little cheese to retire, to call it a day on top of the rest of everything else that you're doing in order to prepare for retirement, whatever that is because for everybody it's different. So, but I always suggest long-term investing. That's all we do here. So when I talk about strategies and when I talk about how to look at things, I'm talking about 10, 15 years from now. You know what I mean? I'm not looking 5 years short term. We looking way out in the crystal ball. We don't know what's gonna happen. This is, you know what I mean? The whole phrase, live every day like it's your last. Yeah, I know about that. But if you're looking to have some type of financial freedom somewhere down the line, you have to make sure you do everything possible to line it up. And investing is one way to do it. So, you know what I mean? So let's look at the national rent prices, because I'm looking these up for y'all this week because I wanted to talk extensively about the housing prices and rent being at an all-time high. All right. So rent prices jumped 12%. No thanks. Let's see if rent prices jumped 12% last year, from a median one-bedroom apartment hitting on an all-time high. The nation's third largest, Zumper, the nation's third largest real estate platform. A median two-bedroom apartment saw rent prices jump more than 14%. The median price for a one-bedroom rent reached $1,374 in January. The median price of a two-bedroom apartment reached $1,600. Where is this rent at? Who is paying that much money for a one-bedroom? This must be California or New York. One of them. Even Florida. I don't even think they're getting away with this in Texas. But this has to be California, New York, Florida. It's got to be. It has got to be. And for all of y'all that live in those states, look, let me go ahead and let me say a silent prayer for y'all. Amen. Because boy, oh boy, that is ludicrous. Now, I know a lot of y'all, you're paying for what you get, right? You know what I'm saying? You're paying for the lifestyle. You know what I mean? You're paying for one weather all year round. Gotcha. Got it. Been there, done that. But just to see how high that is, that's just, jeez. Oh, y'all give me 1 second. Meanwhile, I look at this. Anyways. Yes, I am looking on the YouTube side, or trying to anyway. But anyways, yes, that housing price is insane. The rental escalations come after 2 years of essentially flat rent rates. Year-over-year growth in January 2021 was 0.06, which we already knew. It was 0.03, and the skyrocketing rent prices are expected to continue. Y'all hear that? Rent is going to keep going up. The national index to move by double digit takes incredible rent growth everywhere. And that's exactly what occurred. The sudden increase in housing demand since the pandemic began in March 2020 exacerbated what was already a national housing shortage that dates back to the financial crisis in 2008. We already know about that. After which, annual housing production dropped substantially. While some of the post-pandemic demand might fade as the pandemic becomes endemic, the housing shortage is still a long-term issue that will likely to continue to push rent up in 2022. Meaning, if you don't own a home, you about to get it. I'm letting everybody if you are watching this channel, prepare yourself. Not a lot of people are buying homes, as you can see why, because there's a shortage. And if you're trying to own a home, you better do it before the interest rates go up. And if you're looking to buy, you know you're about to catch the wrong end of that. Because housing prices right now, sheesh, even in my area, from what I've seen, I have seen prices gone, you know, the markup is at least between $30,000 to $40,000 difference. It is straight insane out here. It's the Wild Wild West when it comes to these housing prices. And then for the rent is even wild. Like, I'm gonna tell you right now, like, my mortgage is cheaper than rent that people are paying. But obviously I got in on it. And it's funny because I bought my house right after the 2008 bubble, or just before it busted in 2008 when I bought my house. If I would have waited one more year, I would have probably gotten my house probably $20,000 cheaper. If I would have just waited one more year. But no telling in that 1 year I would have been able to buy a spot. You know, even with the market drop, who knows? But it's gonna be wild out here. This is why, and all this that I'm telling you guys, it correlates to stocks, because you had people that were doing renovations, going to Home Depot, Lowe's, turning their homes into offices. People are working from home. So you saw the stocks going up in Home Depot and Lowe's. You know what I mean? A lot of people want to work from home now. A lot of people are doing kind of the hybrid. They only want to go in the office for a few days and work from home the rest of the week. So they're turning their homes into their own little personal office. And if they didn't have maybe some people added rooms to their houses. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of changes that's been going on that, depending on what stock you're in, what you call it, depending on which section of stocks, you know, it was doing pretty well. You know what I mean? So, you know, this is why I say, when you're investing, yes, it sucks when prices go up, but that also means your portfolio has a chance to go up. You know what I mean? Having a balanced portfolio, you know, is key, because I'm going to tell you, I have seen it even in my portfolio. I will see certain stocks drop one day and these other stocks blowing it out the water. And then come again 2 days later, these same stocks that were blowing it out the water are down. And then my other set of stocks are up. It's always a balancing act. I think there's only been a handful of times that I've seen all my stocks go straight up. And I've seen that, like, I think probably about 4 or 5 times I've seen it where all my stocks gone up. But I've also seen all my stocks go down. But the thing is, I'm getting paid dividends from the majority of this. Out of the 19 stocks that I own, 18 of them I'm getting paid dividends from. The only one I'm not getting paid dividends from is Coinbase. So regardless if my stock goes up or down, I am still getting paid. And that's how I look at it. You know, I don't want to have to sell my stock just to make cash. No, I want to be able to get a little residual off the companies that I own. Now, these ain't shabby companies either. Some of these companies are 1 and 2 in their own right, in their own sections. See what I'm saying? So, but this is what I wanted to talk to y'all about today. You know, introduce y'all to what's going on in the world and the market and all that, because it all correlates. Inflation, you know what I mean? Interest rates, you know, and of course with all that you have food prices going up, electric as you see it, energy, you know what I mean? Like I'm saying, like, if you pay rent, do not be surprised if your rent goes up again. If you already felt the pain of your rent going up one time or twice already, don't be surprised if it goes up again this year. And I'm just being dead honest. And like I said before, these landlords, they're gonna if one landlord has a price in one area, yeah, you can call it price fixing all you want, but there's certain rent in certain areas that's just gonna be similar depending on where you at. Like obviously, I'm gonna use Florida as an example. I know once you get the below Orlando, you get into Fort Lauderdale, Miami, boy, that rent is something else. And I can tell you that point blank because I lived there and the rent was high back then. And we talking about 15, what? I left Florida in 2001. So when I left Florida, 2001? Yeah. So I left Florida in 2001. Even in the 90s, rent was still high down there. Now it's just ridiculous. You know what I mean? And it's wild out there. Well, I'm not surprised with the 1 bedroom and the 2 bedroom. You know what I'm saying? But you pay for the lifestyle. Same thing in New York. Same thing in California. You are paying for a lifestyle. This is why me personally, I think very, very, very closely in how I want to move when it comes to the finances and just kind of looking around because, you know, depending on your career too, obviously, because not everybody's career allows them to move around and to do things. Obviously, if you're in the medical field, you can go anywhere. If you're in the education field, you can move anywhere, depending on what you're teaching. If you're a teacher or something, you know what I mean? Obviously, if you're a business owner, depending on what you're doing, if it's online, you know what I mean? But if you have your business concrete in a state somewhere, it's going to make it a little difficult for you to up and move. You know what I mean? So, and I'm in that similar boat because my business and everything is not just online, it's concrete. You see what I'm saying? So, but it's just those things that you have to think about, man, when you deciding on where you're going to live, whatever, you know, down the line. So, but hopefully, you know, everybody's doing good. Like I said, I wanted to get through quite of a bit of what's been going on in the market and, you know, how to look at things. But I must tell you this, make sure you double check it. I mean, deals are always out there depending on what you're trying to do in the stock market. Like I said, we always talk about financial literacy for the long term. We ain't talking about quick money. We talking about steady cash flow. We talking about ways to make your money work for you in the long term. There is no such thing as fast money. You know what I mean? There's no such thing as easy money. You know what I mean? No such thing. And if there is such thing, you already know where you're going with that. It ain't gonna last long. But if you're looking for steady growth, long term, over time, there are ways to do it. It's just up to you and how you want to do it. And obviously, with prices getting higher, it's gonna be hard to invest. But I'm gonna tell you like this: investing should be just like drinking water. It should be just fluid, just like waking up in the morning. You know what I mean? Every little bit helps in the long term. You know what I mean? Even I have to cut back on a certain way of how I spend if I want certain things, you know? So if I want something, then I know I have to, you know, stop doing this here, build up that money, then I'll go do this. You know, like I said, everybody's financial plan and what they want to do in their life when it comes to finances is different. All I'm trying to do is make sure that y'all look at things from a different angle, especially when it comes to the stock market. You know, because the stock market, it is always going up. It dips here and there, things happen, but, you know, the market is always gonna go up. See what I mean? So, and your money can work for you while you sleep. Easy as that. But you got to get started some shape, way, or form. You see what I mean? So, well, that's it for your boy, man, for this edition of the Financial Corner. You know, it's been a crazy week for me, but it's also been a crazy week and change in the market with a lot of companies making moves, making acquisitions. And obviously I don't talk about any particular stock whenever we do Financial Corner unless somebody comes to me and asks me about a particular stock or particular this or particular that, because obviously I have a 9 to 5, I have other stuff, I have other business ventures. So unless somebody asks me to look up something and get in depth with it, I don't usually go randomly searching stuff, other than unless it's my own stuff and I tell you guys about it, or I bring you, you know, what's been going on in the market and then using what you guys should be watching out for, because it is extremely important that, you know, we all pay attention to what's going on in the market. You know what I mean? Because, man, you never know. You never know. So appreciate everybody being here, man. Hopefully y'all have a good night. Hopefully y'all had a good start to the week. That's it for your boy. Y'all be easy.